This is the final result of an image that I'll be editing today. I'm going to open up the file from Lightroom, so I click on Photo, Edit in, Adobe Photoshop. You can also do that by right-clicking. For the file to go over to Photoshop. As you can see, the file's nothing flash. It's an in-camera multiple exposure image that I captured during one of my walks. The first thing I'm going to do is hit Command J on a Mac or Control J on a PC to duplicate the layer. To use the crop tool on the left-hand side panel just to define the area that I want to work on. Move it to there, just bring it in a little bit. There we go. Click the tick to commit the change. The next thing I'll do is go to Image in the Photoshop menu, top. Go down to Adjustments and then across and down to Match Color and click on Neutralize and hit OK. I'll now go down to the Create New Fill and Adjustment Layer icon, click on that, choose Curves, and I'm going to hit the Auto Curves button. Just click on that. Now, holding your Shift key, I'm going to choose the Enhance per Channel Contrast. Click OK. I'm now going to add another layer, Curves layer, to add a bit of contrast to the image. So click on the Create New Fill or Adjustment layer, choose Curves, and I'm going to place a point in the bottom quadrant on the line and one in the top quadrant on the line. With the bottom point, I'm going to pull it down just slightly, just to give a little bit more darkness in the image, and then go to the top one and lift it up slightly to create a bit more contrast. You can see it gets a bit lighter as well. If you click on the eye icon, which will turn the layer off, you'll see the before and after. I'm now going to add a solid color layer, so if I go down to the Create Fill and Adjustment icon, click on that, choose solid color, and the color that I'm going to use today is 55565C, which is actually a grey. Click on OK to commit the change. I'm now going to go to the blend mode, just set it normal, and I'm going to go down and change that to lighten. You can have a bit of a play with the blend modes. I like to experiment, so you can choose whichever setting that you like in the menu, but for this example I'm going to use lighten. At this point I'm going to stamp up the layer, which will combine all the changes I've made in the layer stack to this point. So I'll hit Command Option Shift D on a Mac, or Control Alt Shift E on a PC. I'll duplicate the layer by hitting Command J on a Mac, Control J on a PC. Now I'm going to select a filter in the Photoshop menu, click on Filter, making sure this layer 2 copy is highlighted, click on Filter. We're going to go down to Stylize, select Fine Edges and click OK. I'm going to hit Command I on a Mac or Control I on a PC to invert the layer. I'm going to go to the blend modes, which is set at normal, click on that, and I'm going to change the blend mode to luminosity. If we now go down to layer 2, click on that, and we're going to hit Command J on a Mac or Control J on a PC to duplicate the layer. Making sure that layer is still highlighted, I want you to click and drag to the top of the layer stack. Just let it go. And there we've got that layer. Now we're going to go down to layer 2 copy, and I want you to double click on that. We're going to change the name to filter, just so that we know that that's what we've applied on that layer. Now we'll go to layer 2, copy 2, and what I'm actually going to do is transform this layer. But as you can see in Photoshop, at this point I've got no rulers showing. So if you hit Command R on a Mac or Control R on a PC, it'll actually bring up your rulers for you. If you see on the top line here, you've got, and on the left hand side, you've now got our ruler guides. If I click on this ruler on the left hand side, I'm going to set a guide by dragging it across. I'm actually going to set it at 600. I'm at 800, I don't know why, my eyesight's not very good. So I'll just slide it over to 600 and let go, and that's going to set my guide, my first guide anyway. The next one I'm going to do is by dragging that ruler, and I'm going to set it at 1600, thereabouts. I think I'm quite happy with that. So if I just let it go at that point, and that will set my guide. I'm going to go to the top ruler and drag that down. The first one I'm going to set at 200. You'll see the ruler line, when I drag it down, will actually intersect with that left hand side guide. So I'll set it there at 200. I'm going to take another ruler and drag it all the way down to about 1300, thereabouts. Okay, so now I'm ready to transform this actual layer. So I hit Command T on a Mac or Control T on a PC, and you can see the little toggles on the side here. Now if I hit the Shift key, just drag that in. Now, as you can see, I had to fiddle around a little bit, so it's really good when you're actually transforming an image and using guidelines. If you go up to the View on the Photoshop menu and click on Snap To and choose Guides, and then what you'll see is when you're moving, the little toggles will actually kind of click into place. It makes it much easier. So I'm just going to move that image aside, and then at the bottom I'm going to drag that up and fit it within the square guide that I've created. When I'm happy with the transformation, I'm going to click tick to commit the transformation. I'm now going to go down to the Create Fill Adjustment layer, and I'm going to add a solid color layer. So we go to solid color, and the color that I'm going to use is already set on there, but it's C7AC8C. Click OK. It's going to give the image a bit of an autumnal look. So if I go to the blending modes, and I'm going to change it to hue, so it's going to warm up my image a little bit more. At this point, I'd like to duplicate layer 2. It's quite important that you don't duplicate layer 2, copy 2, because that's a reduced size of that layer 2. And if you wanted to duplicate that and you start to enlarge it, you're going to lose resolution unless you've used a smart object, which we haven't in this case today. So that we don't confuse the issue, we're going to remove these guides, and you can hit Command H on a Mac or Control H on a PC. That removes the guides, as you can see, but next time we add a guide, they'll come back. So what you need to do is go to View, click on that in the Photoshop menu, go down to Clear Guides, click on that, and it'll remove the guides that you've set there for good, which is perfect. What we want to do today. I'm now going to set up some more guides. So if we click on the left hand side and drag it over to about 1300, next one we're going to drag to 2600, and then if we go to the top ruler, move it down to, I'd say about 400, quite happy with that there, and another guide, click and drag from the ruler all the way down to 2500 or thereabouts. I'm quite happy with that there. Now if we go down to layer 2, remembering that that's a stamped up layer of all the changes we made before it, we click on layer 2 and make sure that that's highlighted, because we don't want to use that layer 2 copy 2. That would be a mistake, as I explained earlier, because that's the smaller file that we've already reduced inside when we transform. So if we click on layer 2, make sure that's highlighted, and we're going to duplicate this image by hitting Command J on a Mac or Control J on a PC. We're then going to click and drag that layer 2 copy up to the top of the layer stack and let go. We're going to transform this image by hitting Command T on a Mac, Control T on a PC. It'll show these little toggles around the side. Now if you hit Shift key and grab one of those toggles and pull it in to fit within that rectangle that we've created with the guide. Just grab that bottom one, pull it up, there. Perfect. Makes it too easy with the snap to guides. All you need to do is click on the tick at the top of the screen to commit the changes. Now, if we go to the blend modes and change it from normal, click on that, and we're going to change this one to lighten also. What we do, if you hover your cursor over the opacity, you'll see these 2 little arrows come up on either side of the hand. We could actually just use that and slide the mouse down so that you can see the opacity reduces. I want it at about 54%. The other option is you can just go to that field that's highlighted in blue and type in 54% to reduce that. I want it so that that image looks like it's behind the other small square image that's sitting at the top. At this point, I have no use for the guides that I can see on my screen, so all you need to do is hit Command H on a Mac, Control H on a PC, and that will remove the guides. Or you could actually go, if I hit Command H again and bring those guides back, go to View in the Photoshop menu and clear guides, and they'll be gone once and for all. It's now time to give the image a bit of a punch, so I'm going to add a Hue Saturation layer from the Create New Fill or Adjustment layer icon. If you click on that, go down to Hue Saturation. Now what I'm going to do is just adjust the hue slightly. I'm going to change that by sliding the slider. You can fiddle around and do whatever you want, obviously, with your image. If you click on that hue slider, I'm going to change that to +6 or thereabouts, +6, yeah, I'm quite happy with that. And then I'm going to increase the saturation slider up to 26, like so. Now, I'm quite happy with that colour, but I'd like to give the red channel a bit of click. So I'll click on that bit of oomph, I should say. So I'll click on the master and choose the red channel. And I'm going to adjust the hue of the red channel by moving the slider to the left. I want it to go down to about -3. I'm also going to change the saturation and just play with the slider. I was originally going to do it about 19, but I think 26 is quite good. I'm quite happy with the richness of the image now. If you can see by clicking on the eye icon and turning it off, turning it back on, you can see the changes. It's really warmed up the image quite considerably just with that small change. The last thing that I'm going to do is add, well, second last thing is go down to the Create Fill and Adjustment layer icon, click on that. I'm going to choose a levels layer. Now I'm just going to move the darks in a little bit just to darken the image, and I might have a bit of a fiddle possibly with the mid-tones. So I'd quite like to darken that as well. It gives me the look that I'm after for this particular image at this point. Okay, so the last thing that there is left to do is at this point I like to, when I've finished with my image, I like to stamp up my layer stack. So I hit Command Option Shift D on a Mac, Control Alt Shift E on a PC to stamp up that layer. When I've finished editing my images, I like to hit F on the keyboard twice, which gives me the image without any distractions. I'm also at this point, as you can see, I've added the ruler. If I hit Command R, it's going to remove that. It just gives me a nice blank canvas to view my image on. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's edit. Please remember to give my video a like, and subscribe to my YouTube channel to see future edits from the Altered Image Studio. Thank you.